All right, it's time to try Russell's 15 and see if it's worth all the hype. Man, have I been looking forward to this one because, oh my gosh, I don't know that there's been a single bottle so far this year that people have been so obsessed with as Russell's 15. Like, new bottles and new releases have come and gone. It's been sort of the flavor of the week. But the Russell's 15 hype has been astronomical. Whiskey reviewers, writers, YouTubers, etc., everybody. Pretty much some general consensus here that it's a banger bottle, and many people calling it the best whiskey of 2024. Some people going so far as to say it doesn't matter what else gets released this year, this is the winner. We're gonna find out if that's true. So I've got the 15 poured. Thanks again, Matt, for sharing with me. I appreciate you, brother. As that opens up, let me talk a little bit about this whiskey. You know, a big shout out to Whiskey Advocate. I'm a subscriber to the magazines, but they had one of the best write-ups for this bottle that I have read so far, just because they had some great insight and some one-on-one time with Mr. Russell himself. So let's rewind a little bit. So we had the Russell's Reserve 13 year, and that came out in 2021. It was supposed to be just a one-off thing, but the popularity was huge. And so they were like, I guess we'll do it again next year. Why not? So originally the plan was that, you know, they have the Russell's 10 year, and it's a blend of both 10 year and 13 year into the same bottle, basically. And the Russells were like, well, what if we just release the 13 year 1 year on its own? Just to, you know, to have something special. And people adored it. I really loved the 13 year as well. So they decided to make it, hey, let's add it to our annual release calendar. Now, they have said this is just going to be a one-time only offering, but I'm willing to bet because of the popularity of the juice this year, there's a pretty good chance they may go back on that. But the challenge is really about their inventory. It's about their stock. Because what ended up happening when they went to release the 15 year is they found that the barrels that are 15 years old, they're losing a ton of juice. So that's a big issue, obviously, if you're a distiller. You know, you have this evaporative loss that happens within the barrel. They call it the angel share, and the longer you wait, the greedier the angels are. And they're going to take more and more and more of your juice, which is a problem because obviously it's taking up space in your warehouse. It's occupying cooperage. You had to run the still to make it, and all of that stuff you've been waiting 15 years, and your product is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and you have not made a penny on it yet. So they said that they didn't end up having as much to the 15 year as they wanted to, but it was time to pull it from the barrels. It was time to get it in bottles because it tasted just right, and they didn't want it to get syrupy or anything like that and let it age any longer. So they age these barrels at their Camp Nelson facilities. It's about 45 minutes away from the distillery itself. It's right there next to the river. Has notably better airflow. The ricks are a little bit more exposed and open and spaced out. So special warehouses, special location, special juice. That's why Russell's Reserve 15 year, the SRP of it is $250 a bottle, which is that's a very expensive bottle. But beyond that, most people are probably going to be putting it on their shelves for around $300 is what most people are finding it for. $280 to $300 seems to be like the common price tag for this bottle. But if you're getting it on the secondary, you could be looking at a price tag of $1,000 or more. So the Russell's 15 is a blend of mostly, I think 75% of it is 15-year-old Russell's Reserve. And then the other 25% of it is actually 16 year. So this is really old bourbon. Comes in at 117.2 proof. Now I want to read this. This is sort of going to be my grading criteria. So this is what Mr. Russell said about his goals for this whiskey. In his interview with Whiskey Advocate, he said, it's about the journey from the nose to the finish. I want creaminess up front with some sweetness or fruit. Then in the mid palate, I want a traditional wild turkey spice, then a big, super long finish. So we're going to grade him by that criteria. 1, creamy up front. 2, sweetness or fruit. And then in the mid palate, some traditional wild turkey spice. And lastly, a super long, big finish. Let's see what they got. First of all, look at the color on this. You are not used to seeing Russell's Reserve that dark. That is very dark for any Russell's product. That has me very excited right out of the gate. Because just looking at this, I'm thinking things like leather, allspice, you know, some tobacco notes. Just visually, my mind is already gearing up. Hopefully it's not like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You don't want to sort of go in with an expectation and then taste it and twist those tasting notes to match your expectation. It's always something that's a little bit of a danger. So try to remain objective here. I am noting how thick and viscous it is, though. It is clinging to the side of this glass really well. That's not unheard of for wild turkey, older bourbon in general. It does tend to be kind of sticky, which I love. Let's get in here on the nose. You know, man, the very first thing that came to mind is like Kahlua or like a Bailey's Irish cream. I mean, that's kind of spot on. That Kahlua note is like spot on here. Okay. Remember one time my mom, I think it was Christmas time, she made a tiramisu. And when she baked the tiramisu, she cooked into it, she baked into it Kahlua instead of just like, you know, your espresso. Oh my gosh, dude. It was so good. All the cream with the sweet lady fingers and that Kahlua in there. Man, this is, I will give credit where it's due. The first thing he said he wanted was creaminess. I mean, it's hard to argue with literally a master of the craft. That's spot on. That Bailey's Irish cream and Kahlua on the nose, man. That is so good. He said he wants some of that wild turkey spice on the mid palate, but I'm getting all kinds of like nutmeggy, clovey, all spicy sort of notes on the nose too. I will say just a fuzz of that tobacco leaf, and I hope I'm not reading it into the nose. I think it's there. Nothing fruity on the nose for me. But let's get in here and taste it. Cheers. Man, that sort of creamy Kahlua note right up front for sure. I will say first sip, it does come in a little hot, but then the more I sip on it, I went in for a second sip, it's dialing back. It's dialing back. I don't get a whole lot of fruit, but what I do get is this almost like a fig Newton. You ever have like a fig Newton? You kind of have that savory, sweet graham note on the outside with the jammy fig in the middle. I get that on the mid palate here. He said he wanted sweetness or fruit, and it definitely does deliver in the sweet capacity, and a little bit of that fig could be your touch of fruit in there. He said he wanted that spice in the mid palate. I don't get much spice at all until right when we're starting to transition into the finish. So I get a little bit of that spice headed into the finish, but the finish for me, it is pretty long and drawn out. There's no doubt about that. That's really where I'm landing on those tobacco leaf notes, but there's also this caramelized, almost like burnt sugar note as well, which is not undesirable to me. I really like that note. Some good caramelized burnt sugar with those tobacco leaf notes. That is really freaking good. That is very good. I mean, I'm probably a good 45 to 60 seconds into this finish right now. And it's like my whole mouth is just coated with a thin layer of oak and that burnt sugar note. This has like everything my favorite bourbons have. It's big, it's bold, it's a real experience. But every sip, you're getting so much bang for your buck with a single sip because of how much flavor you're getting hit with, but then how much flavor is staying with you over the course of the next minute. A lot of whiskeys go down quick. They wave and they say goodbye and they walk out the door after you swallow. This one sticks around, it lingers. I know a guy like that. The get-together's closing down, everybody's leaving, and it's down to that one guy, and he's like, I'm gonna stay for another 45 minutes. And you're like, kind of wish you wouldn't. This is like that, but not in a bad way. This is the thing that stays around. You want it to. It's like, I'm just gonna kick my shoes off and stay a while if that's all the same to you. And I welcome it. It's just coating everything in there. Well, I gotta tell you, I think that is every bit as good as a lot of these people are saying it is. Like, truth be told, there's a lot of stuff that I end up thinking is a little overhyped that I think is pretty good, but not as good as people are saying. This is not one of those. I think this is actually pretty exceptional stuff. If I were to give it a score per my scale, I'm going to land at a flat 9. I'm just going to give this a flat 9.0, and I think maybe 3 or 4 whiskeys in the history of my channel have achieved that score. It is very seldom that happens. But I think it's phenomenal. I think it's superb. I think if you have the opportunity to buy this bottle at anywhere close to SRP, you simply gotta do it. I would love to have this stacked up against some like real heavy hitters in a blind. That would be amazing. I would love to stack this up with some... I want this to go up against Blanton Straight from the Barrel. I'd love it to go up against 13th Colony's Single Barrel Proof. Elijah Craig's C924. I'd love to see it go up against that too. I want some of these like real leathery, dark, rich bourbons all in a lineup. I think this one would not just contend, I think it would easily make top 2. For another time, maybe. Until then, that's the Russell's 15, 9.0. Superb. Phenomenal. Thanks again, Matt, for sharing. Hey, if this is your first time here on the channel, welcome. We're happy to have you. Would you consider leaving a like in the videos? That's the best free way to support the content here on YouTube. And kick your shoes off, stay a while, subscribe. We'd love to see you around more. We also have a public Discord, totally free to join. Lots of great conversations happening there every single day. We have a wonderfully vibrant community full of amazing people. You can join the Patreon group as well for as little as $1 a month and get involved in some of the fun things we like to do. We got a bottle share coming up. We're in the works with getting the planning stages of that, rolling that out and doing our next bottle share. We've done them in the past. It's always been a blast. So check it out. Links in the description. Cheers, my friends. May you live richly and get better with age. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.